Hey guys, Mike Dawes here. Welcome to another column for Guitar World magazine. In this column, I wanted to talk to you again about sort of interesting rhythmic ideas. The extract I just played was from the final track on my new album, Era. The song's called Fortress, and I wrote it when I was living in Northern Ireland for a while, and it's very much inspired by the Northern Irish landscape and the people there, but also the troubles in the 70s and the sort of signs of that, the signs of the troubles that are kind of still there, bars on shop windows and things like that. A really interesting place in the UK, and I'd really recommend you guys visit there if you're in the area. What this is essentially a slow Celtic ballad in sort of six, a sort of waltz vibe, okay? But underneath this is a interesting kick drum pattern that I'm playing in the right hand, sort of hitting against the body of the guitar. And that pattern is a bit odd. It's what I try to use to, I guess, compositionally imply an air of the troubles in Northern Ireland underneath the Celtic ballad, which is very major. This pattern is in 7, and it starts on the 1, but the 1 is a rest. So in 7 we have this pattern: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like this, going on underneath. 1. And this pattern keeps going throughout the exercise as that riff repeats and varies 4 times. Okay. Now, unlike some of my sort of polyrhythmic stuff that I've done in other compositions, there's always a time where it sort of meets up and everything syncs up together wonderfully. But in this, it really doesn't. It just kind of goes on and on and on. It's a real pain to learn because not only does the melodic pattern and the chords change every single time, but the kick drum, you have to learn to put it in completely different places throughout the exercise and throughout the song. So it took a long time to learn this, but I think it's a really good exercise for you guys in terms of thinking about one time signature whilst muscle memory taking care of the other one. If you go back to the column I did on the song The Impossible from my first album, you'll remember I talked about that. I'm not necessarily thinking about both time signatures at the same time. I normally commit one to muscle memory and then I focus in on the other. Or if I've played the song for many tours, normally it becomes muscle memory anyway, okay? First thing I want to show you is the melody. And this is an insight into how I composed this as well. I wanted a strong Celtic melody, so I went back to F sharp with the capo. We're in Dadgad, much like the tapping column. And the melody is this. Very, very simple melody there, okay? We're going to start with, I'll teach you how to play the melody. We're going to start on the 2nd string. We're going to hammer up to fret 4. Da, 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 da. I don't sing, forgive me. The singing is just for the shower in the car. Really taking advantage of the open strings. Okay. Open, open. Little hammer on pull-off sequence there, down to that 4th fret root, or major 3rd rather. Really taking advantage of the open strings. I came up with that melody and thought it was strong enough to build a song around, okay? So the next thing I did is I did a bagpipe version of it. Now what I mean by a bagpipe version is I added a root drone underneath the pattern, just for my own sort of pleasure in getting used to playing this melody in a bit more of a musical context, just with a bit of harmony. So what I was doing was adding the root, in this case an F sharp, to the bottom of the melody, like that, okay? So what I'm doing there is adding the root of the key beneath the melody to create a sort of Scottish bagpipe feel, because when you have traditional bagpipe tunes, you normally have a drone going underneath, okay? Then, much like in one of the previous exercises we did on building compositions from melodies, which I recommend you check out, I harmonized the melody and made the chords a little bit more interesting, okay? And that sounds something like this. With the C sharp. So let me take you through what I'm doing there. That also is the first of the 4 sequences of the waltz itself, okay? So we're starting with our first finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and we also have the 2nd fret of the high A string covered, okay? And this is what we're picking, open D string, and then the hammer on with the pinky. Really nice chord there in Dadgad. And that's how we're implying our melody. Hammering on, then that nice little flick off. Then our bass note's going to change from the D. It's going to move down half a step to the C sharp. Or it's not a C sharp because we're capoed 4, but it is the equivalent of C sharp if we were open. Okay. Then we pull off instead of picking. It's something worth mentioning is that I'll try not to have the same attacking device too often, otherwise it sounds a bit like a machine gun, which is not what I'm going for in this context. So if I have a hammered note, I might pick, then pull off, then pick, then pull off, like this, you know, keep it nice and varied to give it a nice, interesting voice. Really taking advantage of the open strings there, okay? Then we got that 4th in the bass there, but we still have the major 3rd of the root as well, okay? You can even lift that off to vary the bass line a little bit more if you want. Okay, now our bass has gone up again, gone up a 2nd to that C sharp, actual C sharp this time. Our very cliched Dadgad rising sequence in the bass there. You can also play around with the rhythm of that if you wanted to, or play it straight. Okay. Once we get up to here, we just have the bass note, that B, followed by the top 2 strings open. Nice little double stop, sliding down to maintain the harmony, but getting that lovely vibe there. That's the first main sequence that I came up with, and that's what I'd really like you to learn. You can find the tab, obviously, in the magazine. And that's the first sequence I want you to look at, but trying to put those kick drums underneath it, okay? So when that is muscle memory, I want you to play that and count this slow 7 in your head, okay? 1, 2, 3. I can't talk and play at the same time, but we have 1 and 6, 7. 6, 7, and 6, 7, right? And that'll give you an interesting idea of not only how to get a clean kick drum in a fingerstyle piece, but also playing around with those rhythms. Now, the rest of the extract is in the magazine. It will take you a while to get, but if you're going to really focus on one section here, even if you don't do the variations like I played at the beginning, it's just the idea of having that clean kick completely displaced in a completely separate world, disassociated with the melody, okay? It's also worth mentioning, by the way, guys, that this song was one of the few songs on the record that I actually didn't use a click for. Sometimes I like to have a click track to kind of, you know, keep certain rocky tunes consistent, but this one was completely free time because I wanted it to flow. So when I'm talking about these time signatures and these numbers, you can play around with it. When you do listen to the record, it's not going to be completely straight. You might think that some of these bass drums are a little bit displaced. They're not. I'm just flowing it, okay? So that's something that you need to do at the performance stage of learning this. First, you need to learn the melody, then you need to learn the chords, then you add the 7 pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, and then you can start feeling it and playing it emotionally. And a great thing about the whole Celtic folk guitar thing is being able to flow it dynamically up and down in terms of volume and in terms of tempo, okay? So that's the extract on Fortress that I wanted to share with you, and I hope you have fun with it. I hope it's not too confusing. And once again, that's the last track on my 2nd album, Era, which just came out. So I hope you enjoy it if you check it out. Take care, guys. See you soon.